り裂いて明るい朝日が差すように地獄からよみがえるタイガーマスクの白い牙待ってる待ってる待っているみんな待ってる正しい力今こそ今こそ今こそ決めろタイガーマスクタイガーフィニッシュ
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to be joined by the biggest wrestling journalist in Japan, as Jimmy Valley says, the leading journalist in Japan, Fumi Saito. Thank you very much, Fumi, for joining me again.
Hello. It's fun. Yeah. It's my first time I do this on Skype, so yeah.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah.
The last time we met, it was in Tokyo. Like it was after the Tokyo Dome show, we went to that restaurant in Tokyo Dome hotel where we had some ice cream and coffee. Do you remember that?
Sure. It was a Sizzler at the Tokyo Dome Hotel.
Oh, it's called Sizzler, right?
Yeah, Sizzler. Yeah. We had salad bar. Then we made our own ice cream sundaes.
Right.
And lots of
And
coffee.
you told us some really cool wrestling stories.
Okay.
So Fumi, we are going to make like a fantasy tournament with 16 wrestlers from Japan. And you will be the booker of this tournament and you will choose which wrestler to advance to the next round and you will crown the winner.
But this is total fantasy, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. You choose your 16 wrestlers.
Right.
Including Ricky Dozan, Giant Baba, Antonio Inoki, all the way to Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yes.
I'd say it's impossible to have just 16 because you didn't have Akira Maeda in there. You don't have Nobuhiko Takada in there.
Yes,
it's
very hard.
I would like to include Yoshihiro Takayama in there too, in my personal, And also, a lot of people want to have Minoru Suzuki in there.
Exactly.
But you choose your 16 wrestlers.
This is my 16.
That's fine.
The real concept behind it, you will tell us like about some preview about some of the wrestlers in the tournament, some cool stories. So that's the real concept of the tournament. And as a fun twist, we'll have like a 16 round or 16 wrestlers joining one tournament. So are you ready?
You made the bracket.
Right, I did.
Okay. All right, I want to hear the first round.
Our first match in the first round. You have, by the way, I didn't share the bracket with you. I'm leaving it as a surprise.
It's okay. I didn't want to do it. Yeah.
Jumbo Tsuruta going against Tatsumi Fujinami. Man, I need to ask you, Fumi, I think both of the wrestlers are similar in a way, like they had, like Jumbo, he had a run in AWA winning the AWA World title.
World Heavyweight title, beating Nick Bakuenko, yep.
Fujinami, like going to Madison Square Garden.
Got
and
the WWF Junior Heavyweight title, yeah.
Right.
And also number one protege, Jumbo Tsuruta being number one protege of Giant Baba, and Fujinami being number one protege of Antonio Inoki. And they both lived in same era, exact same era. So Jumbo and Fujinami are always being compared. Yeah.
And did they run in the USA? Did it get like press publicity in the Japan when Jumbo won the title? Was it huge in Japan?
It was
the
big.
AWA title.
Well, Jumbo beat Nick Bakuenko in Tokyo to become champion, then toured America.
Yes.
When Fujinami won WWF Junior Heavyweight title in 1978, he was still relatively unknown. Then all of a sudden he had a match at the Madison Square Garden. It was televised from New York to Tokyo, and Star was born like a Cinderella. And
Wow. Awesome.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like overnight, then came back as a star, you know. But junior heavyweight then.
The junior heavyweight.
Yeah,
right.
very light, like 200 pounds, you know. Yeah.
And I think both of them, they changed their in-ring style. Fujinami became a heavyweight, and Jumbo, like in the late 80s, he became that, like, I'm not sure, an intense, like, angry heel, right?
Yeah, well, not a heel, but more senior.
Senior.
You know, yeah. So different era, but both of them have a lot in common. See, Jumbo Tsuruta, Fujinami, both were on television every week for 25 years.
Wow, yes.
You know, every week. And actually, the time that they were on television was longer than Inoki or Baba. See, Friday night television, Inoki's New Japan's TV Asahi 1 hour show.
Right.
Saturday or Sunday, Giant Baba had a 1 hour show on Channel 4, 1 hour. But
Right.
Jumbo took up 20 minutes of it, you know, and Fujinami usually took 15, 20 minutes of it, and Baba and Inoki won't come out to the very end of it. And actually, Fujinami had more airtime. Jumbo had more airtime than Baba or Inoki in 70s and 80s. Yeah.
Did Jumbo work in New Japan or the other way around? Did Fujinami work in All Japan?
Fujinami never worked All Japan. Jumbo worked one match with New Japan, like in the very, like a first, maybe a second or third Tokyo Dome show. Four All Japan wrestlers worked New Japan, and
Right.
other than that, they never really worked. Oh, other than that, there was an All-Star game, summer of 1979. Jumbo, Fujinami, and Mil Maskers trio going up against Masa Saito, Takachiho, who will be great kabuki later, and Taiga Toguchi, Kim Dak. Japanese three heels against super babyface Jumbo, Fujinami, Mil Maskers. All-Star game.
Was that the same show where Anoki and Baba teamed together?
Right. Against Abdul the Butcher and Tigerjeet Singh. Yeah.
Is it televised? Was the show televised?
No, was never televised. Yeah.
Too bad.
Because of rights.
Right.
Yeah. But
So-
the video exists.
It is, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. So you have to
We
choose
can't
the
take up
wrestler.
all the time. We could talk about Jumbo and Fujinami for the entire hour, probably.
I know.
All right, the first round, Jumbo against Fujinami.
Yes.
Right?
Fantasy booking.
Right, I go with Jumbo.
Oh, wow. That was a very tough match. Cool. Our next match, we have, are you ready? This guy,
Liger
Liger, right?
against
Going against Tenru. And just, I think, tell us about the legacy for Tenru a bit. I know Liger, like everybody has spoken about him millions of times, but Tenru, he's pretty famous, but for people like me, I don't know as much about him as Liger.
Okay. He was a superstar sumo wrestler. Started sumo wrestling when he was age of 14. You know, he did that for about 10 years and turned professional wrestler when he was 26.
Cool, right.
Yeah, in 1976. Yeah. Giant Baba, had a big scalp, and yeah. So he was already a star in sumo wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And I think his first run was in All Japan, right?
All Japan.
Yeah. And he had his own promotion war?
SWS, Super World Sports, and
Right.
WAR.
Yes, WAR, right?
Then had an signed contract to New Japan. And there was another small, until he retired, there was a small production company he had, the Tenru Project.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, basically freelancing, but Yeah, so he had an All Japan run, SWS run, WA run, and New Japan run, and basically freelanced all along. Yeah,
And
until
did
he retired. And hustle.
and how did WAR, like, was it a success business-wise in Japan? How successful was it?
That was during the time period, mid 90s, early to mid 90s, where we had 30, 40 wrestling companies active. Now we have over 100 wrestling companies just in Japan. But see, when I was a kid, it was Giant Baba's All Japan, Antonio Inoki's New Japan. That's it. Then
Right.
UWF, then
Yes.
Onita, the Maeda, the FMW, the UWF, all kinds. But um, it was very difficult to open the wrestling company then. So
Right.
in that way, Tenru opened the door for like option. There's another wrestling company you can create. Then he
Right.
had a sponsor. Yeah,
So Liger against Tenru. What is your choice to advance?
Tenru.
Oh, this is a big surprise, Jushin Liger.
Well,
That's
I have to defend Liger because Liger is a type of superstar. Winning and losing is almost not as important.
yes.
He comes out like he goes in the ring like Jushin Liger and wrestles like Jushin Liger, win or lose, sometimes lose, and it doesn't hurt him. Yeah, you like him just as much.
Liger, he did have a run in WAR wrestling in a tag team against Tenru as well. Do you remember this match?
Oh God, I can't remember. There's
I
so
think-
many. He
Yeah.
he was junior heavyweight legend, superstar.
Yes.
So he went to WAR and defended his title. He
Mm.
worked Michinoku and then had a match against people like Great Sasuke.
Yes.
And he even worked Pro Wrestling Noah, All Japan, a little bit, So
Definitely.
wherever he went, he was Liger.
Liger.
Yeah.
So
One of a kind.
Tenru is going to the next
I
round.
have to go with Tenru.
Our next matchup we have, by the way,
Yeah.
this guy. Can you see him?
Keiji Muto.
Keiji Muto
Yeah.
going against Hiroshi Tanahashi. Man, Fumi, like I was thinking, I think Muto in a way he reminds me of the Undertaker. He kept changing his career, having this aura, like he was being his himself as the Kijimoto, the great Moto, having the longevity in the business, and of course the ace of New Japan.
And then also the moonsault era to figure, the dragon screw into figure 4 era. Then Shining Wizard, and
Right.
he just does his thing. And less he did, the better almost. As he grew older, he did so little, but he can still be Muto.
Yes.
And is this tournament like being held right now?
yeah.
If it was held in year 2020, I'll go with Tanahashi. But in all through the year 2000,
Right.
I have to go with Muto. But let's go with Tanahashi.
Wow. Tanahashi eliminates Muto. That's awesome.
Okay, let's say Keiji Muto was willing to put him over.
Right.
Tanahashi.
That's awesome. And the next match is very tough as well. So,
Oh, yeah? Okay. Mitsuharu Misawa. Yep.
going against the legendary. Can you see him?
Antonio Inoki. Oh,
Antonio-
that's hard. Wait. That's like Antonio Inoki's School of Wrestling against Giant Baba's School of Wrestling. And besides Jumbo Tsura, Misawa was Baba's best guy,
Yes.
Yeah, best student,
Which was more popular for me, Jumbo or Misawa?
Different era.
Okay.
Yeah, different era. Jumbo started, he went to Munich Olympic, 1972, then turned professional, 73. Next 20 years, Jumbo era.
Right.
And Misawa started in 1981, and he was carrying Jumbo Tsuru's bag,
Wow.
Yeah, young boy. And then there was a Mexico era. Then he became second Tiger Mask.
Yes.
Then there was a night that he beat Jumbo Tsuru to become main event star.
Famous match.
Yeah. Inoki against Misawa. I go with Misawa.
Ooh. This is
Aging
another
Inoki. Aging Inoki. So
aging.
Inoki is almost as Inoki's Inoki. It's like
Right.
winning this tournament. Maybe Misawa has to win this one.
Fumi, I just want to ask you a couple questions about Inoki. How
Yeah.
big was he like in country like Brazil and Asia and Pakistan and I think in Mexico? Whenever I see his shows, they are pretty much sold out stadiums, right?
And also, it's very special to have him.
Yes.
He goes to Madison Square Garden, New York. Very special match. He goes to Mexico and have a match against people like Kanek or Tiger G or UW world title. And Brazil was his second home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Inoki and his family moved to Brazil when
Wow.
Inoki was barely 14 years old, and they worked in a coffee farm in
Right.
Brazil, and he was also a truck runner, and then and Ricky Dawson had a tour in Brazil and discovered him, and
Right.
brought Inoki back to Japan when he was 17. His whole life is like a long history, long story,
And I think I've read an article that he is huge in Pakistan, like the biggest
Yes,
wrestler.
because he had a legendary match against their hero, Akram Paharwan.
In Pakistan?
In Pakistan, yeah.
Oh,
And,
interesting.
and broke guy's arm. And,
Was it a shoot or?
I can't say because I wasn't there. There's a video footage, but there's a lot of theories to it.
Right.
And they weren't even professional wrestlers in
Oh,
our way of thinking professional wrestling.
yes.
Pakistan had their own professional wrestling, which is
Wow.
different from
Definitely.
wrestling as we know.
Great.
I go with Misawa.
Oh, you sure? Yeah, Misawa is advancing.
Yeah.
Our next match, like Ricky Josho going against Okada. Fumi, I think I did when I shared some of the names. You told me I didn't have Ricky Josho. You told me Josho needs to be there. Why is that?
Choshu is so important. Very important. All right. In single match situation, Ricky Choshu beat Antonio Inoki 3 times in
Ooh.
single match.
In
But,
the 80s?
90s. Yeah, 89, 90, 91, around there. Yeah, 90. Fujinami and Inoki had many single matches.
Yes.
Fujinami never beat him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 60-minute draw was the best one,
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, although Fujinami beat Inoki with his Dragon 4 Nelson suplex in tag team situation. That's it.
Right.
And also, Ricky Choshu is very important because when Antonio Inoki left the company to become politician, he gave the booking position to Ricky Choshu instead of Fujinami.
Oh, interesting.
So, therefore, Ricky Choshu became locker room boss.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And of course, now you have the main star of New Japan, Kazuchika Okada. I think Okada is unbelievable. Like he started young and he was great young and his prime.
Okada against Choshu,
Yes.
that is so hard. I go with Choshu.
Ooh. Of course. Nice. Our next match, we have, he's the well-known,
Giant Baba, okay?
the great Giant Baba, going against Shinya Hashimoto. Fumi, like regarding Hashimoto, like tell the fans a little bit about him. For me, I've seen some of his matches. Obviously, IWGP
Yeah.
World Champion. But tell us a brief history about him. How successful as a champion he was?
He was if not the longest, he was one of the longest reigning IWGP champion. You know,
Oh, right.
see, this is a type of wrestler that somebody who needs belts. You know,
Yes.
Keiji Muto, like Undertaker,
Yeah.
he was champion too, but he almost didn't need the belt. You know,
Right.
and Hashimoto utilized IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and IWGP belt became like identity. You know.
Mm.
And just like Masa Chono, his thing was winning G1 tournament summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's three musketeers. Muto, Hashimoto, Chono. Three guys in the autumn, fall of 1984. They started same day.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, three guys. Yeah, New Japan Dojo.
What was appealing about Hashimoto? Was it his in-ring style, his look, his reputation for the fans?
Tough guy image.
Okay.
And very emotional. Emotional meaning that you don't think Muto would start crying in the ring, right?
Yeah.
Not that
definitely.
much. But Hashimoto, upon winning the title, he's crying so much, and and just people with him, yeah. And he didn't have much fancy moves, kick,
Yes.
chop,
Kick.
chop, chip, then go, ooh, just something about him. Just the people go with him,
Right.
Yeah.
And for me, I think Giant Baba, he's pretty underrated as a worker in the late 60s and 70s. Amazing technical skills, amazing wrestlers for his size, right?
Yeah, and great athlete, and also a former Tokyo Giants baseball player,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
and a great athlete, and super famous in Japan, like Inoki and Baba, right?
Definitely.
Baba was always more famous. That's why Inoki was so motivated, Inoki was clearly number two when Inoki and Baba were together. Then
Oh,
they
okay.
went separate, like old Japan Pro Wrestling, Nippon Pro
Right.
Wrestling, and Inoki left and formed New Japan, and Baba left the old company and formed Old Japan. So they
Right.
were equal, but the Baba was always running for like a very first one, like
Got
Rick
you.
Dawson's choice. Yeah, he had main event run before Inoki.
Right. And I think his matches against the Destroyer, Harley Race, just unbelievable
Oh,
matches.
people like Gene Kaniski,
Yes.
Killer Kowalski, old fashioned, the
Yeah.
Welber Snyder, Dick the Bruiser, the Crusher. So he's like a 60s wrestler,
Yes.
Yeah. And
And
also typical NWA promoter.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That,
right.
that era. Yeah.
So you had Baba against Hashimoto.
I go with Baba.
Baba, nice, awesome.
Yeah.
What do you
Status.
think about what do you think about the
Well,
bracket?
but Hashimoto might be type the wrestler. He make few mistakes in important matches.
Mm,
Baba has more strategic, and Baba will beat him. How's that?
awesome. That's awesome. Fantasy like booking.
It's
Our
this
next
fancy, yeah.
our next match is Kawada from All Japan Pro Wrestling going against another guy.
Oh, original Tiger Mask.
Original
Sayama Satoru?
Tiger Mask. That's for me. Kawada, was he ever the number one guy in a promotion? I don't feel
As long
like it.
as Misawa was around, he would be number two. Yeah.
Yes, that's right, right?
But they went high school together. Misawa was 1 year older, and Kawada was 1 year younger. They were in the same amateur wrestling team, and they were tight, friends. And that's why that was a reason Kawada didn't go with Misawa when Misawa left All Japan to form Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yes.
Everybody
so he
thought
can be the
Kawada
number
would
one.
go with him. No, he's staying with his old company. Yeah. But
And
Misawa and Sayama, I mean, Tiger Mask Sayama against Kawada,
Right.
I'll go with Sayama.
Oh, of course. I mean, like Tiger Mask, only 2 years, but it felt like 30 years.
Yeah,
Everybody remembers this.
forever. Oh,
Yeah.
so innovative. And also, he was like almost a pioneer of today's MMA.
All right.
Yeah, right after he left New Japan,
Agree.
yeah, he started Shuto, It became today's MMA,
The famous.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
So Tiger Mask is advancing to the next. Our last match in the first round,
sure.
Kenta Kobashi going against Ricky Dozan. I think Ricky Dozan is like, it's a good segue. So you can tell us about
Rick Dozan, of course, is the father of professional wrestling in Japan.
Yeah, tell us, how did the wrestling start in Japan? Like a brief history.
But you can write a book about it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It-
Well, basically, there was a war, wartime, and then U.S. and Japan had a war, and then the war was over after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, 1945. And there was a wrestling for GHQ. GHQ is a general headquarter,
Right.
occupation. And Bobby Brown's Kansas promoter and wrestler, conjunction with GHQ, they brought wrestling for troops tribute. There was a troops in Japan, U.S. troops, occupation time, and they brought wrestling over. And former sumo wrestler Ricky Dawson joined the group, got 2 weeks of training and debuted.
Oh, and
Yeah, just under 2 weeks of and then Ricky Dawson was sent to San Francisco to become professional wrestler and also learn the business to become promoter, and came back in 1953, 54. Famous Ricky Dawson and Masahiko Kimura against Sharp Brothers, beginning wrestling and beginning of television.
is this the first wrestling show in Japan? Was it the first?
No, like I said, there was a Bobby Brown show.
Right.
And there was a couple people in 1920s who brought wrestling over to Japan.
Oh, okay, right.
Not much of a success, but yeah, there was a couple attempts.
Oh.
And we always had sumo wrestling.
Yeah, with this, of course.
Yeah,
and
that's pro wrestling.
And Kenta Kobashi, I think, like pro wrestling, Noah, in a small period of time, it got huge, right, and exploded.
He was already big with All Japan in 90s, either Misawa, Kawada, or Kobashi, right?
Who was the main guy in Noah, Misawa or Kobashi?
Misawa, because he was also a founder of the company and the president of the company and also symbol, icon of the company, and Kobashi was like a #1 in-ring superstar. Right. So there's a king and a champion.
And what is your pick between Kobashi and Ricky Dawson?
Well, politically, you almost have to say Ricky Dawson, but this is fantasy tournament.
Yep.
And Kobashi is much bigger and heavier and has so much skills and charisma. Oh, charisma, Ricky Dawson too, of course. But Ricky Dawson is a historical hero and the father of wrestling. But the one-on-one, Kobashi.
Kobashi, awesome. So we finished the first round matches. We are going to the next round. It's getting tougher and tougher.
Okay.
I think
what's the second round?
The next match, you will have the chance to tell us about the famous story, Jumbo against Tenru, one of the most popular.
Oh, Jumbo against Tenru? Right? Oh. This time? Well, Jumbo is all-round better wrestler, bigger, and Bruiser Brody is, favorite opponent, and longevity. And when both Jumbo and Tenru are babyface as a tag team.
They were tag team, right?
Yeah, at one point. Jumbo was clearly above Tenru.
Oh, interesting.
Tenru's era didn't begin until he turned on Jumbo. Like, heel,
Yes.
Then Jumbo against Tenru became household, main event. Yeah.
Famous program, I think.
Famous. Sold out Budokan after Budokan after Budokan. Yeah.
I am sure you were there in one of their matches.
Yeah. Not more than once. Yeah.
Right.
But this time, Jumbo against Tenru, right?
Yeah.
Tenru, because Jumbo against Tenru is more important for Tenru than it is to Jumbo.
Because he was already established. Maybe.
Not just that, but having single match against Jumbo is more important to him than anything else. For
Right.
Jumbo, opponent Tenru would be another opponent, like Tenru, Jumbo, the Jumbo against Tenru, Jumbo against Stan Hansen, Jumbo against Dory Funk, Jumbo against anybody else.
Yes.
But Tenru having single match against Jumbo is very, very important. And he has to win it.
So Tenro is going to the next round.
Yeah.
And I think Tenro had the longevity, right? He was wrestling until his
because Jumbo got sick, got real sick, and he retired early. And also have to point out that Jumbo went back to school and became professor. And he went back to master's degree and went to college again, and then he started teaching in college. So he had a second life.
So Tenro is going to the semi-final. Our next match, Hiroshi Tanahashi against Misawa.
Oh, Misawa against Tanahashi, huh?
Yeah. Let's look at it, Fumi, like both of them at a stage in their career, they were the top guy or the face of the company, right?
Yeah.
But don't you think Tanahashi, he had the responsibility because the promotion, it wasn't on the top. It was suffering. So he built it and he started to make it popular. Where Misawa, I think All Japan was already popular. Wasn't it? Maybe it was easier for him to be a mainstream?
I wouldn't say that because it was right after Tenru and 15 guys left All Japan. There's a skeleton,
Right.
And that was the tour. Misawa took off his tiger mask and he started out like a debut as, second debut as Misawa,
Right.
And people were really behind it. Then there was a single match, Jumbo Tsuruta against Misawa. You know how hard it is to beat Jumbo?
Yeah.
Nobody beats Jumbo for a 15-year period.
Awesome.
Yeah, maybe like a count out or DQ, finish. But nobody pins Jumbo 1, 2, 3. It's so hard. Took Tenru 10, 15 years to beat him once. And Misawa did that, and then that was like a sensational, the Misawa era begins.
Right.
Yeah. But for Tanahashi, I know what you're saying. Wrestling business itself was going through dark age.
Yes.
Yeah. Misawa against Tanahashi, huh? Tanahashi.
Oh, nice. Awesome. They didn't face each other. I think Misawa he wrestled Nakamura, but not Tanahashi.
Yeah, that 2004, 2005 era, I always kind of forget. But also, Tanahashi was like a young, upcoming superstar to be, and Misawa was in 40-something. He was getting a little heavy and slower, and also he was a boss. He was a company boss, and he, more so than in-ring wrestling, he was doing a lot more in company. Yeah. And Tanahashi,
like now you are saying, right now it seems the wrestlers like they have more longevity, like maybe for Tanahashi, for let's say for other wrestlers 40s, or even in the North American AJ Styles in his mid-40, but they seem still in a great shape. We're back.
Yeah, Tanahashi's 42 now. Yes. Yeah.
We're maybe back in the days.
Think about, Misawa and Kobashi, they had this different kind of wrestling career. All
Right.
all through 90s, they were having what 200 matches a year. You
Right.
know? Night after night, night after night. Like you expect Misawa to have Misawa type of match
Right.
up against people like Kawada, Kobashi, Stan Hansen, Terry Gordy, Steve Williams. Just very different style, demanding. Yeah,
And
physical.
another question, like you know how like in America where wrestlers in the 80s and 90s were living the rock star life, drinking and staying up all night and partying.
Partying.
Was it the same for Japanese wrestlers in the 80s and 90s? Did they have a
Yes,
different?
yes and no. Probably, Japanese way of going izakaya and drink and eat. Having dinner and drinking beer and sake go together or something. It
Right.
just Rikidozan type of sumo wrestling, Tenru style lifestyle. So it's different, but there was a party life to it. Yeah.
Awesome. Our next match, Ricky Chosho going against Giant Baba.
Who did Jumbo beat? I mean, who did Giant Baba? Oh, Hashimoto. Okay. Ricky Choshu against Baba.
Right.
Ricky Choshu.
Oh, Chosho is going.
Yeah. Scorpion Deathlock and Baba didn't tap out, but the referee had to stop.
What would you say, Ricky Chosho biggest programs? Was it against
Fujinami.
Shinro? Oh, Fujinami.
Against Fujinami. See, he wasn't really big, huge superstar until he turned on Fujinami. He went to Mexico about 7 months and disappeared. He came back with long hair,
Yes.
and there was a 6-man tag team, Inoki, Fujinami, Choshu, against Abdul the Butcher, Bad News Allen, and SD Jones or something like that. 6-man tag team. During the 6-man tag team match, Ricky Choshu turned on Fujinami. And
Nice, interesting.
yeah, Japanese heel begins.
Japanese.
Yeah.
So Ricky Chosho going to the semi-final. Our last match in the second round. Yeah. Tiger Mask going against Kenta Kobashi.
Wow. Heavyweight Kobashi?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. I can see it.
We have to remember that the original Tiger Mask, Sayama, never really lost any matches though, when he
Yes.
was Tiger Mask,
He didn't. That's right.
Yeah. But his opponent was mainly 3 guys: Dynamite Kid, Kuniaki Kobayashi, and Black Tiger. The rollerball Mark Rocco, who just passed away a couple days ago. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think he was the star when I was watching some of the old New Japan tapes. Always Tiger Mask and Anoki, they are on the show, right?
Sure.
It
And
was
Tiger Mask was
Yeah.
like almost like a big boom. Like he brought in non-wrestling fans into the building, and everybody was watching on Friday night. Let's watch Tiger Mask, And
Right.
the original one was animation,
Mm.
Yeah, and then he moved like animation, and he was doing things that people have never seen, Yeah, just one of a kind.
What was his background? He was
He
so
started the high school wrestling champion,
okay.
but he quit high school in the middle of 10th grade. Before his 16th birthday, he joined New Japan when he was 15. Still.
And how did he become up with all those cool moves? Was he like a fan of Bruce Lee or?
Yeah,
What
fan
was-
of Bruce Lee. Yeah, fan of
He
Bruce
was
Lee.
right. It
And
means
also such a good athlete that if he has this imagination in his head, he can do it.
right.
Yeah,
right.
he just kind of imagine and like fantasize few things like what
Right.
Bruce Lee would do.
Right.
He could do it
He
right
can.
away. Yeah, that
Yeah.
kind of athlete.
I think like it is also a good chance like the Black Tiger Mark Rocco, one of his biggest rivalry, has sadly just passed away 2 days ago. What a legend, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So now we're
And
on the
Dynamite Kid too.
Sorry?
Dynamite Kid was
Dynamite.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Tiger Mask's big rival, and Kobayashi too. Those three. Yeah.
And I think Tiger Mask, one of the main reasons who got Japanese wrestling internationally, everybody wanted to see him back in the day.
Right, and also it was an era people started buying VHS video, VCR.
Yeah.
Right.
The semi-final, very tough match. Tenryu going against Tanahashi.
In their peak, in the peak period or the prime time. Wow. Tenru,
Yeah,
maybe.
I
Tenru.
guess. Right. And Tenryu, I think he was still in great shape, having great matches up to his late 50s. Unbelievable.
Yeah, his last match was against Kazuchika Okada when he
Right.
was 60 something.
Yeah. Right. Was he a big draw in Japan? Like, was he a big money maker, Tenryu, as well?
Yeah.
He did,
But
right?
better heel though. See, remember, Jumbo established babyface against cool guy heel Tenru.
Yeah.
New Japan, Riki Choshu, big star against Tenru. Like
Got
heel.
you. Right.
Fujinami against Tenru.
Mm.
Tenru has
Always-
the opponent.
Always a great heel.
Yeah.
Our other semi-final match, Riki Choshu going against Kenta Kobashi.
Kenta Kobashi.
Ooh, awesome.
Lariat.
Yeah.
Riki Choshu's clothesline against Kobashi's clothesline. They
Yes.
clothesline each other.
Right.
Kobashi's taller and heavier.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll go with Kobashi.
Sometimes in social media, when I follow some wrestlers, even like non-Japanese, they always say Kenta Kobashi is their
Was
favorite.
the best?
Yes. Like he was a wrestler's wrestler, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
definitely.
was a wrestler's wrestler, yeah.
Yeah, and almost there's no language barrier. You watch Kobashi and understand,
Yes.
There is no language barrier or
He
culture
had
barrier.
that emotion when he was like selling doing them. He was truly great.
Yeah.
So now we reached in the final Tenryu
Four.
against Kobashi.
Tenru against Kobashi?
Yeah. Did this match actually happen or?
I think so. Yeah, a point. But then again, Tenru's peak years, Kobashi was still young.
Yeah.
Kobashi's prime time year, Tenru was getting older, and they never met again. So yeah, they never really, had a match when both were in their prime.
Got you.
Yeah.
But now you have Kenta Kobashi again, the prime of him against the prime Tenryu. Who is going to win this tournament?
It is fantasy, right?
Yeah.
I go with Kobashi.
Oh, Kenta Kobashi as the winner of this tournament. I think a lot of people would agree with you.
I don't know.
Fumi,
Is it already? Wasn't there one more semifinal?
No, that's the final.
That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So Kobashi
Right.
won the fantasy tournament.
Yes, he
But
did.
It all depends on how your bracket was laid out.
I
If
know.
there was Misawa against Sayama or Rikidozan against Inoki or Baba against Liger or different bracket will have
It's
different
different
results.
bracket.
Yeah.
That's the interesting
They're all
thing.
important. And you didn't have Akira Maeda in there.
Maeda, yes, I did.
You didn't have Takada Nobuhiko,
Maybe we should have
Takayama
done.
was not in there.
Yeah,
Or Shinsuke Nakamura was not in there.
he wasn't right. I tried to pick wrestler from different eras, from different promotions, heavyweight, junior heavyweight.
Yeah, no Kensuke Sasaki, huh?
Yeah,
know,
that's
so-
an
16 wrestlers, impossible. No
It-
Masachono,
yes. That
I
is
wanted to have Masa Saito in there too.
yes. You too. By the way, like I did the same with Bill Apter. He
Yeah.
had the same difficulty. He said 16 is impossible. He picked Luthez against Bruno Sammartino going in the final.
Oh, and then there was a plan. way
Yes.
back in 60s, Luthes against Bruno Sammartino, unification match, NWA champion against WWF champion in New York. It never
It would have
happened.
been huge. It would have been huge.
Yeah. No
Uh,
winner though.
right. It's so hard. Yeah.
Double count out.
Uh, Bill Apter, he said I cannot choose a wrestler. He crowned both of them as the winners.
Both
But
of them as a winner. No, then I would. If you told me, it'd all be draw.
right, I know what you mean. Fumi-san, thank you very much. It's been a great fun. And as always, you are one of my favorite people to interview or to
Okay.
talk to, like with your knowledge, with your experience. Thank you very much. Hopefully, this crazy pandemic, at last, tell us, how are things in Japan? Do you guys still go out? Do you attend wrestling shows or?
I wear this every day when we go outside. Yep,
Right.
and every day. And the wrestling reopened. You know, most of the company, New Japan, All Japan, Pro
Yes.
Wrestling North, the big company, they did this social distance seating. You know, seat to every third, chair, like social distance seating, and have mask on at all time.
Yes.
No big cheering, no high-fiving, touching, no shaking hands, nothing. And you're supposed to, do your have this at the,
Oh yeah.
at the desk, and you get your temperature.
Have you attended any wrestling show after in the
Yeah,
past?
I was at Stardom show. Yeah, also
Right.
social distance, and yeah, I did go to All Japan show, social distance seating, and no
Oh.
yelling, nothing. Just you have to sit and they go.
Yeah. But I think it's still at least you have some people that will make the matches more fun.
It's a little bit different because some wrestlers need audience.
Yeah.
Act, react, and some wrestlers, people pay so much attention to what's going on in the ring, so
Right.
it's fine. So it really shows what kind of wrestler they are,
Yes.
Yeah,
They can.
and it's different, very different.
Fumi-san, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully, we'll have that this pandemic will be over and you will hang out either during WrestleMania season in America or in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Take care, my friend. Bye bye.
Okay, see ya.
Thank you.